we've been working with teams inside Google and outside Google, and as teams have been doing increasingly sophisticated things with GWT, really pushing the boundaries of what web apps are. If you look at something like Google Wave, you know exactly what I mean. We had to evolve the feature set really quickly in GWT to keep up with the demand of developers.
A lot of members of the Google Wave team originally worked on Google Maps, which is a handcrafted JavaScript application. We found that there were a lot of pain points in writing in handcrafted JavaScript, including it's really hard to scale your application to hundreds of developers. We felt that GWT would provide a great alternative, since it allows you to use Java with its existing tools, great practices around design patterns.
Good UI requires lots of iteration. You want to be able to drop new elements in, move things around, and play around with styles. So in 2.0, we've introduced a declarative UI called UI Binder. This allows me to lay out my user interface in an XML file and then associate that or bind that to a Java class that contains application logic. Another really nice thing about UI Binder is a feature we call UI Style. This allows me to write CSS styles and bundle them directly in the template. Now that's beneficial for two reasons. One, it means that I don't have an extra HTTP round trip to go get an external style sheet. Also, I don't have name conflicts across my application if I want to bundle up one widget and then include that in many different parts of my application. All of my styles are included in that same file.
One of the things that developers struggle with in building web applications is getting the look that they want in those applications. HTML, CSS, JavaScript, they can interact in surprising ways, making it difficult to achieve the look that you're working on. So in 2.0, we've introduced a series of layout panels. These are panels that behave predictably, that are very fast, and make it easy to achieve the look that you want.
Well, as we add new features to GWT, we continue to improve our IDE support. In 2.0, we've added new features in the Google plugin for Eclipse to support things like UI Binder, Client Bundle, RPC refactoring, and the new development mode. This allows me to catch errors early on in the development cycle. For instance, let's say I'm in a UI Binder template, and an element doesn't exist. Well, the plugin's going to flag that for me with a red marker so I know that I need to make a change. Also, it means less typing, because we have wizards for things like Client Bundle and UI Binder that will go ahead and create the boilerplate code for me.
The previous version of GWT, when you're debugging your Java source code, you have to use a particular embedded browser. In the new version of GWT, you can use essentially any browser that you want to. You can, from your IDE, debug against Firefox, Safari, Chrome, and Internet Explorer. The really great thing about this, aside from the convenience factor, is that you can debug multiple different browsers to make sure your application works everywhere that you want, but also you get to use the tools, the development tools, that those browsers themselves provide. So for example, I can debug in Java and combine that with Firebug in Firefox.
One of the benefits of using a tool like GWT is that with every release the optimizations get better. So as a developer, all I have to do is recompile my source code and my application is going to get faster and smaller.
During development, the Google Wave team kept adding more and more features to the point where our code base grew to over 1 megabyte of uncompressed JavaScript. With the application growing like this, we all looked at each other and we said, are we going to have to ship Google Wave on a CD-ROM? That's the point where we turned to the GWT team and said, we need help. The Google Web Toolkit team kindly provided us with a new magical compiler tool called code splitting. And code splitting allows users of Google Wave to only have to download a small amount of code before they can start using our product.
One of the biggest problems with developing really fancy web applications these days is, frankly, performance. And it's very hard to understand where time goes in a complicated web application. On one hand, you have JavaScript profilers, but JavaScript is only half the story. There's all sorts of other sources of latency, CSS style matching, DOM layout, and so on. So we're introducing with 2.0 a tool called Speed Tracer. You can use Speed Tracer to analyze the performance of any web page, not just those built with GWT SDK, but any web page at all, and you can understand where the various sources of latency are.
One of the other benefits that we've got from GWT is that we're well underway with our mobile client. We've been able to reuse the exact same code that we have for our desktop version, and with minimal effort, get it working on all new WebKit-enabled mobile phones.
We've only scratched the surface here. There's a ton of stuff in GWT 2.0. The best thing to do is download it and try it out for yourself. You can get your copy at code.google.com/GWT.